Ladies, gentlemen, folks beyond the binary, grab your husband, wife, partner, mistress, some hot chocolate and pecan fucking pie, and gather around the radio. It's time for this week's meeting of the Erotic Thriller Club.
Not rude or crude, he's always tastefully nude. In this hardcore world, he's a softcore dude. His antithesis, mysterious and dangerous. And oh yes, they've got all the sexiest movies out on VHS. So if you're fatally attracted to the racier stuff, Erotic Film Club. Basically, instinctively crave the salacious. Erotic Film Club. If you want a racy movie and you're too classy for smut, Erotic Film Club. We can watch them and discuss them all ad nauseam. Erotic Film Club.
Picture this. You've just done 5 years on the joint for boosting cars. Your BFF cellmate has a smoking hot pen pal he's very excited about meeting, but he dies in a tragic Jello riot. What are you supposed to do? Let her find out her pen pal died this close to Christmas? No. You pretend to be him, slide down her chimney, but now her gross brother needs you to rob a casino. Bah humbug. This week on the Erotic Thriller Club, Reindeer Games. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's meeting of the Erotic Thriller Club. Our Happy Holidays edition. Christmas Slutty Christmas is here, folks. Garrett Calendar and Kit Ryan.
Ho's all around. Yes, and this is where we answer the genre's three most important questions. Was I aroused? Was I thrilled? And would I ruin my life for this person? And I propose we add a special fourth category. Did it put you in the holiday spirit, Garrett?
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. That's what I'm talking about. See, I'm so sad that we only get 2 episodes in Christmas Slutty Christmas.
Christmas slutty Christmas. Well, I mean, we could go all the way to 12th night and put one in January.
Well, we get this year, we get an erotic thriller on Christmas Day.
Oh shoot, I didn't think of that. Yeah, we do get one this year.
Literally Christmas Day, A24 is giving us Baby Girl with Nicole Kidman.
And by day 24, I think you mean Santa Claus. Santa Claus is giving us that in our stockings because we were good.
What month did Love Lies Bleeding come out? What that felt like Christmas. Was that a Christmas in July situation or was it earlier?
I think I don't know. Wait, hold on. I can look it up.
Seriously though, A24 coming in clutch with 2 erotic thrillers this year.
Thank you for that, by the way.
Which means, folks, you will get 2 Nicole Kidman erotic thrillers in a row because next week's erotic thriller, or 2 weeks from now, whenever you're listening to this, Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes
So
wide
really,
shut.
for December, we're doing movies that have been talked about a lot.
Love Lies Bleeding came out in March, by the way.
It came out that was a birthday present for me. Oh,
For
man. Christmas present, birthday
you!
present, A24. You shouldn't have.
Oh, but they did because they love you so much.
Before we get into Reindeer Games, though, there is a movie in theaters right now, and it's not an erotic thriller, but the behind the scenes feels a little erotic thrillery to me, and that is Wicked.
Yeah, you said that you weren't able to separate the art from the artist on this particular one.
Yeah, so Ariana Grande in Wicked, I'm sure you've all heard about this by this point. She did sleep with a married man who
Mm-hmm.
was on set of Wicked, and it wasn't the prince in the movie. It
Mm-mm.
was a guy who played a munchkin,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got a weird little red perm.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, I think she gave hope to weird little redhead perm guys everywhere.
Aw, isn't that sweet?
Like, seriously though, when you look at him, you're just like, what the fuck happened? Is she unstable? Why him? And yeah, maybe he had a great personality.
When I first saw him, I was like, Oh, no, 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 no. He doesn't normally look like that, right? Like that's just what he like in real life. He looks different. Like at first I thought he was what's his name from Stranger Things? The
Demogorgon?
yeah. No, the guy with the long hair who's he's totally cute. And I was like, no, he could be cute. And then I realized no, they just have vaguely similar faces. No, no, he really does look like that. And he looks like that all the time. Even the perm is just like a little bit more of what he usually has. So yeah, there goes that high school sweetheart marriage of his because Ariana
Were they
Grande.
really high school sweethearts?
Yes, they really were.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. You know, like, every day she's like, "How was work?" And he can't say, like, "I got sucked off of my trailer today by one of the biggest pop stars on the planet. How was your day? Mine was awesome." And the thing
Awesome.
is, like, how are you supposed to
Compete with
he's
Ariana
almost
Grande? You can't.
he's almost not at fault.
Yes, he is, Garrett. He is still at fault. Thank
I
you.
this almost falls into, like, hall pass territory.
What? Okay, so what? You would give your wife a hall pass to go have sex with Ariana Grande?
I mean, I would understand what happened.
I'm not happy about it, but I get it.
I just picturing his life where it's just like, oh man, I was a theater kid growing up, probably got bullied a little bit for
Mhm,
one
mhm,
having red hair, two being a theater kid, and then your
mhm.
biggest role you've ever had is SpongeBob on
SpongeBob.
Broadway,
Yeah.
which to be honest, like when I find out that things like that have become a Broadway show, my first thought isn't, I bet that's really good.
Mm-mm.
I'm sure it's fine.
I'm
I'm sorry,
sure.
Broadway fans out there, but you too could be a theater kid who works their way up from the
Mhm.
understudy in a production of Clue at your high school all
Mm.
the way up to getting sucked off at lunch by Ariana Grande on the set of part 1 of Wicked.
Which which I did not see coming. I didn't have on my bingo card for Wicked. Weirdly codependent relationship between the two leads. Had that on my bingo card. Unhinged press tour, that was there. That was the free space. Wicked has that effect on people. But no, you're right. This one I did not have any indication that this was going to be something. So wait, you think this is going to turn into an erotic thriller situation? What you think that his ex-wife is going to track down Ariana Grande and get revenge? Is that what you think?
No, she's the normal one. You saw the press tour. She's insane now. She
Mm,
is gonna have, probably the tiniest bag ever, but, like, a comically long knife that comes out of it. And,
yes. Oh shoot, you're right. And then you know what, Garrett? Was it worth it?
I mean,
To ruin your
yeah.
life for Ariana Grande?
I think at the end of the day, this redhead now, he wears probably cooler sunglasses while he's in public with Ariana Grande and has a little more
Mm,
swagger than he did. I think at a certain point when she leaves him, because this isn't going to last forever,
mm-mm.
that he'll be like, I maybe shouldn't have done that. But hey, you only get the shot like this once in a lifetime. And
You know what I just realized? Better ending to our movie is Elphaba kills him because of their weird codependent lead relationship between the two women. She has to take him out.
that's entirely possible. I don't know. This has really captured my imagination, and I don't know how a single person is supposed to sit through that movie, see his face, and not
Hmm.
think about them banging on the set over the 4-year span that this movie filmed.
Which is wild, come to think of it, that it took 4 years and you only got half a show out of it.
Well, there's 2. There were 2, there was a shutdown for the pandemic and then the strikes. So there were
Hmm.
2 shutdowns in those 4 years that extended it too.
Hmm. Hmm. And you still only got half a movie, though.
Well, they filmed them both. They're done.
Yeah, but I only get half a movie, and then I'm gonna have
Well,
to wait. The
yeah, you have to pay
longest
twice.
intermission. I have to pay twice, and the intermission is a year long. I don't like that.
The real payoff's gonna be that they've been filming those 2 as a reality show this whole time.
God, you would pay so much more money to go see that.
That's an Oscar winner. All right, we're like 15 minutes into this. Let's get
Let's start
let's
with
get
some dead Santas everywhere, because that's how the movie starts.
Kit, I don't know. I mean, I know everybody hates this movie, is what I have found out later. Charlize Theron has said it's one of the worst movies she's ever made. She said
Wow.
she only made the movie to work with John Frankenheimer,
Well, it was their last
who
chance because this was his last movie, wasn't it?
this was his last movie that he made. You know, he did The Manchurian Candidate and some other big things in the 60s and 70s, but also you and I, one of our personal favorites, The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Absolutely. Complete classic.
But I don't know. I saw this movie, what? I would have been in like 8th grade when it came out,
You
2000.
saw Charlize Theron's boobs when you were in like eighth grade?
Yes. And that's
Lucky
why
you,
this
little guy.
movie holds a special place in my heart, where not only do you see boobs, but it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
The action is good. I
Mm-hmm.
think this movie's awesome, but it might come from a place of nostalgia.
I think the movie probably got a bad rap because it came out in February. Who the heck was gonna go see this movie in
Mm.
theaters in February? Because they showed it to some test audiences and they were like, hmm. So they had to do a bunch of like re-edits, a couple of reshoots, and it pushed it back to February. And nobody's going to see a movie called Reindeer Games.
Cause it's not like this movie is just Christmas adjacent.
No!
This is one where Christmas is referenced throughout the entire movie.
Every single scene has at least some Christmas decor in it. It never lets you forget for a second. Our main character's name is Rudy.
Yeah.
You've got a Rudy, a Nick, a Gabriel. I was honestly surprised that Charlize Theron's name wasn't Mary, just to really get it in there. I even think that they
She's
referenced a
no
Jesus.
virgin.
They reference a Jesus. They get this is
This movie
full
isn't
Christmas.
subtle.
No.
And I think that's part of the fun in it, though. It does seem like, because you and I watched the director's cut, and
Mhm.
this was my first time seeing the director's cut. And I looked up and found a list of the differences, because it had been a few years since I had
Is there
seen the
more
regular one.
boobs?
By seconds, yes. Like basically, the director's cut is 20 minutes longer, but it's not like there's a big scene that was left out. It's like every scene was cut by like a minute. So they
Mm.
added like a minute to each scene. And it
Here's just a
seems
little
like,
more cheek, a little more Ben Affleck cheek.
oh my
Just
God. And you
hint.
get a lot of Affleck
You
cheek.
do. It's nice. He's got good
And it's a close up,
butt. Mm-hmm.
but you also see it pull out. So you know it's him.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very hairless and shaved back there. I mean, he
Good
has a
for him.
very well like
Manicured butt.
manicured, powdered, everything was
You know
nice.
what? That's true. We've seen some real hairy butts on this show before, and not here. Mm-mm.
I think it's funny that this is a movie too that, like, clearly two of the sexiest leads in their prime.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a movie where both of them are just like, I didn't know if I'd be hot enough for you.
That part was absolutely hilarious. And the best part is though that Ben Affleck's is obviously a lie. And because, he had his own personal reasons for not showing up for her at first. And you can tell he's trying so hard to come up with a reason why she might be disappointed to see Ben fucking Affleck walk out the gates of the prison to meet her. Oh, I thought you'd see my face and you'd just be disappointed. And Charlize Theron's like, yeah, I thought you might see my hair
I thought you'd think
and
my coat sucks.
my jacket wouldn't be cute enough. Listen, I know I'm banging, so it can't be any of this.
You think my fashion sense is a little whack.
Yeah, and as we all know, people who've just gotten out of prison, that is the most important thing that they're looking for in a partner is good fashion sense.
Okay, see, as you said, this movie opens with a whole handful of dead Santas. We Tarantino
Yes,
this
sir.
thing, show the end first. And we got to work our way through a movie to get to how did all these dead Santas show up everywhere. And the dead Santas, when this movie opens, I think that the violence definitely was upped a little bit in the director's cut as well, just like how gruesome it is. Cause it seemed like the director's cut, the tone of the movie is a little darker and they cut it down by 20 minutes and made it a lighter action comedy,
Mm.
where this one did feel honestly significantly darker.
Yeah, I
Still
mean,
still fun
there's some
though.
still fun, but there's definitely some, the holidays can be both cheery and a little dark, a little sad for some people, so that fits with the tone. But
I
yes, all
love the
all
start
Ben
of this
Affleck
movie.
dreams of getting out of prison is hot chocolate and pecan pie. Sorry, pecan pie. I don't actually know if they pronounce it that way in the Upper Peninsula. I have not spent a lot of time in the UP, so
Pecan
I
fucking pie.
pecan fucking pie is what he wants.
I love though, we see his cellmate. He's got photos of Ashley, Charlize Theron all over. And God, those photos she sent him, there's some spicy ones. There's some bikini
Mhm.
ones in there. Those could be currency in prison.
Absolutely, but he loves her too much to do that to her. He would never.
It's been pen palim with this gal. And we also find out as they're walking around prison, there's a large, scary man that thinks that Affleck got him thrown in the shoe in solitary.
Yep, yep, yep. And his name is Alamo. And that is one of many, many cameos in this movie because that is some NFL player. Um Also Ron
Okay.
Jeremy is a prisoner. Also Isaac Hayes
Yeah.
is the one who starts the food fight. Ashton Kutcher shows up later.
Yeah, I think like one of Ashton's first acting roles too.
It's a bonanza.
It's a
So
lot of people. And some of the cameos, so we're in the cafeteria and we see Nick and Rudy getting food. This weird old prison man slops a bunch of green shit on their plate. And I would say it looks like Jello mixed with kale is the
mm,
consistency. And they get in an argument over what that is, and he calls it holiday Jello. Sitting at the table having a conversation. Isaac Hayes is across the table and freaks out a lot because there are quote monsters in the gelatin. There are
mhm,
monsters in the gelatin.
mhm,
Great
mhm.
cameo.
Oh,
Did he
it's
audition for that?
I don't think so, but it does bump the number of Oscar winners and nominees in this movie up to 4 because of his presence.
Did he get nominated for what, like the Shaft theme or
Yes, he
something?
did.
Okay.
1 for it, thank you.
One. Holy shit. Very
Mhm.
cool. And he would have been pretty famous at this point too, because South Park.
Absolutely.
There would have been a resurgence in the Isaac Hayes business.
So, yes, there's a big food fight as everyone realizes that their Jello has been tainted.
So
Uh,
did the weird old man do put all these roaches in there on
yes.
purpose?
Yeah, I guess the feeling I got is that it was, a
A
holiday
goof?
a holiday goof. Ho which the fact that Ben Affleck's response to it is like, it's protein, just eat it," is really funny. It's like, "I'm getting out in 2 days, I don't give any shits at all."
Do you think that that old man was an insane asshole, and knew that this was going to cause a full-on riot that results in dead people?
He knew there was a non-zero chance, I wanna say, of that happening, and he just didn't care.
I mean, over the years, we've seen a lot of prison riots in movies.
Mhm.
This one started because Isaac Hayes stood up and
Mhm.
screamed, "There's monsters in the gelatin,"
Mhm.
and people die over it.
In fairness, though, there are indeed roaches in the Jello. Like, he didn't make that up. I was kind of on their side, you know. I get it. I've seen prison riots in movies start over things that are much less deserved.
Kit found a hair in her soup once and shivved her partner.
I did. I did.
It's a nice
He learned.
restaurant too.
Yeah, yeah.
He had
Well, they
nothing to
all.
do with it.
I thought it looked like his. What do you want from me?
So yeah, the during the prison riot, we see that the NFL player, he comes, his buddy Nick jumps in the way, takes the shiv, and dies in Ben Affleck's arms. And we get
Mhm.
some, this is like prime late 90s, early 2000s. Ben Affleck as his friend dies in his arms, and Affleck lets out that guards, guards. He lets his voice gets higher.
Oh,
That's
it
so like,
does.
I mean, you remember at the end of Armageddon, I love you, Harry. That's that. You get
Mm,
that. And that
mm-hmm.
Affleck in the early 2000s, late 90s, no one cried in a movie like Affleck. The
He was good
single
at it.
Affleck tear was such a great trademark.
It's
A
powerful.
handsome man like that crying, you just,
Mm-hmm.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
fuck. Like, I'm wet. I'm wet right now thinking about it.
You're wet thinking about Ben Affleck being sad over his best friend getting shanked in prison?
Well, how lovable he is and how you wanna comfort him and console him.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, my
Mm-hmm.
penis also had a single tear run out of it when I
Aww. A sympathetic tear. So yes, Rudy is sad. Rudy slash Ben Affleck is sad, reading all of his cellmates' letters and being sad that
slept
while
in his bed.
yeah, well, here's the thing: is while Affleck's gonna get out and he's gonna get to have his hot chocolate and pecan pie, he's thinking about how his cellmate, who was also supposed to get out, is not gonna get his beloved pen pal girlfriend. And how sad is that? He had so much to live for.
Do you think Affleck is I mean, he's not really a hero in this movie. Like, it is
No.
this is debatably an erotic thriller, but I would say that it fits a lot of the
The
beats of an erotic
beats,
thriller,
absolutely, including ruining your life.
where he is doing a bad thing. Like,
Yes.
if you pretend to be somebody else to have sex with somebody, you've done the wrong thing.
You have done an actual criminal crime. What you have done is a crime, morally as well as legally. That is a crime. Don't do
It
that.
is a crime.
It is a crime. It is
What did we call
considered
that?
rape by deception.
Really?
It's been used in a case where one twin pretended to be his brother to
Mm.
have sex with his brother's wife, girlfriend, whatever, and she took his ass to court because that was it turns out that's a crime.
See, I think that is a special case where that's definitely, but I think if you pretend to be somebody's pen pal, I feel like that's more of a I think it's completely morally wrong, but I would think that legally it's more of a gray area.
You think so? You
I
really think
don't know.
so? What, because you're so nice, you're just trying to make it so that she's not sad on Christmas. What really you've done her a favor if you think about it.
I love like as he's even morally debating what he's doing, like he sees Charlize Theron outside alone waiting for somebody that isn't gonna come. He's sitting
Mm-mm.
on a bus, sees people making out next to him, and he's just like rolling his eyes at himself. He knows what he's doing's wrong,
Mhm.
but he lets the horniness take over.
He does. And you know what? In many ways, he is doing this woman a favor. Number one, Christmas. Number two, he's an upgrade from the cellmate. He's Ben Affleck. The other guy, is he Ben Affleck? No, he's not.
Affleck supposedly maybe helped write some of the letters, and I think it's
Lies.
really funny as they're reading the letters, Affleck is doing push-ups, and she basically just writes him a very, like, junior high Christmas
Oh,
poem about,
yeah.
like it's just a very rhymey, like, "Happy holidays, we gonna fuck" poem, and as Affleck's doing push-ups, he's like, "She sounds very mature for 25."
Yeah. Yeah. He just keeps trying to ruin things for his buddy Nick, being like, "What if she sees you and realizes you're too ugly to have sex with?" Hmm? You ever think of that? Or what if she doesn't look like she says she's supposed to look? Hmm? You ever
A
think of
good
that?
friend
Hmm?
keeps you prepared for any and all scenarios.
Really? Is that what a good friend does?
Bro negging?
Bronegs, a good friend bronegs you and says, "Have you considered that maybe you're too ugly for Charlize Theron?" And you go, "Yes, yes, I am."
Yes, I am. But Affleck, not too ugly. He knows it. He is the most handsome man in that prison in a way that
Oh, by
I would be
far.
fearful.
Mm,
Like,
mhm.
everybody is scary. Everybody looks like they could star in a Rob Zombie movie, and then Ben Affleck is just like this shiny diamond in the middle of,
He's a beautiful boy.
you know,
So yeah, he comes out. He tells Ashley, "I'm Nick," and they go off to grab some brunch together, and it is so awkward because
I
he
hated being on
realizes
this date with them.
did you not like the fact that they started talking about the weather and the wind chill?
5 years in prison, he forgot how to talk to girls.
I mean, it's not all that surprising, I suppose. Also, how often has he ever had to talk to girls? He's Ben Affleck. He looks like that. He's never had to like make small talk with a woman in his life. They just tear off their clothes the second they see him.
Which basically happens after
That
this
is
cup of
basically
coffee.
what happens. Yeah, 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 yeah. Is it the next thing you know, they are having really fun looking sex in the motel.
Yeah. This is 2 hot people smashing bodies together.
Yeah. They
It
knock that crappy TV off the dresser. They're fucking on the dresser. They're on the bed. They fall off the bed. They don't care. They just keep screwing on the ground. The
the
place is
yeah.
trashed.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. You're getting his cheeks, you're getting her cheeks. He's sucking boobies. He's
Mhm.
this is a pretty spicy sex scene for this
It's
early
good.
in a Christmas action comedy.
Well, enjoy it cuz you're not going to get much more. I'm so
I mean,
sorry.
not n you don't you know, it's not nothing. Like, there is, more later, but this one so I guess they didn't rehearse the scene, and they just kinda
They just started
they
having
jazzed it.
fun. They
Yeah.
did great. I got to say.
Like, they were just, like, scoop
Pow!
it was the soundtrack to the last movie we watched, but yeah, so the cameramen just had it was just 2 guys with steady cams in there, and they were just like, "Let them go and follow their lead."
Follow 'em around, see what they do, and what they did was have a what looks like a really good time.
Yeah, they're making out through this movie is pretty believable. Uh,
Yes.
with anyone Charlize kisses through the movie, which you'll come on to, we'll get to later,
You get the
but
feeling they
she's
all know they're getting to make out with Charlize Theron, and they're real excited about it.
yeah, this is a weird ti I feel like the way Charlize Theron's career has gone, obviously she's still a very, very, pretty lady, but she's
Absolutely.
played such badass women
Mhm.
in movies that now I think, like, it's hard for me to picture this sweet, cutesy version of Charlize Theron because I fear for my life that Furiosa or Cypher from the Fast and Furious movies are gonna beat the
Mhm.
shit out of me.
Well, it turns out that instinct would have served you well if you were Ben Affleck. So, yeah, they get into this motel room with some snacks, and boom, he is getting the absolute crap beaten out of him by Danny Trejo and a
Donna
bunch of
Logue.
yeah, which was apparently supposed to be Vin Diesel in that part.
It's funny the conflicting stories with what happened with Vin
Yes.
Diesel being in that part.
Yes, with some saying that he was demanding a bunch of money and rewrites, and others being like, no, he just wanted to get fired so he could get on Fast and Furious. Which I would believe. That's a lead role in a much better movie.
For sure. I think that probably is pretty believable, but also that behavior doesn't sound unlike behavior we're still hearing from him from the sets of the Fast and Furious films.
That's fair too. That's yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's not I actually really liked Donald Logue in that part. Like, he
I
plays,
did
like,
too.
perfect doofy henchman that I don't think Vin Diesel
Would
uh
have really gotten
would
that
have
same
done.
vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Danny Trejo, the three henchmen in this, Danny Trejo looks deflated in 2000. Like he just it makes me think like Danny Trejo might be on the gas for these later roles because he's always like shirtless and buff as fuck. And this guy, he is the shortest of all the men in this movie and just small.
Aw, yeah, I guess I hadn't really thought of that. You know what? He had pure charisma. He didn't need the big muscles. Plus, they explain that he's going to night school, and they
He's
show him reading
hilarious.
Business Week and talking about how they should add Christmas too to help juice business in the United States. And I love it. See, the reason he's not so inflated is because he's investing in the
His
mind, Garrett, the
That was a
mind.
legitimately very funny scene.
Yes.
Like
I
that made
loved it.
me laugh out loud because so we've got the three henchmen and we've got
Gary
Gary Sinise,
Sinise.
who looks like he hasn't changed anything since he was Lieutenant Dan. Like Gary Sinise is the shittiest looking scumbag in this movie. Like they couldn't have made anyone look shittier and slimier
He
than
does
Gary
the
Sinise.
part where he's like sitting on the jukebox in his
Air
little
guitaring,
air guitar, and he's wearing all black with his stringy hair. He looks
chain wallet.
hilarious. It is so funny. And then he gives that speech about how hard, his life is because I guess he's a long-haul trucker who also runs guns. And this upcoming casino heist is going to be where he gets what he deserves, and he's finally going to get some money. And it's like, how are you not making money as a long haul trucker who also runs guns, my man? Like, what are you talking about? How have you been screwing up crime this badly? And you screwed up both crime and a real job that is known to pay really well. Like,
Well,
the hours are considered terrible, but like you get paid really well. What have you done with it? Did you spend it all on cut off like black tank tops? Is that where your all of your money went?
it was those Oakley sunglasses that he
Yeah,
wears when it's bright out.
must
Those
have
were,
been. And he clearly owns his own truck because that truck is very customized. So,
yeah,
like,
hidden doors, and
uh, what's
they are very funny criminals
they're
because
not good at it, and it's genuinely pretty funny that they're not good at it.
and how poor they are.
Yes. Yeah,
Like
they
they
can't
are
scrape together like $100 to go pretend to be a high roller in a casino. They don't have that kind of cash. Danny Trejo's so mad because Ben Affleck bought pay-per-view.
which was also very funny. Affleck always any scene he is mouthy or does something that is going to get him beaten by these
And
men.
he does not, like, he
Every
takes he takes his lumps, I gotta say. He knows that what he's doing is gonna get his ass kicked, and he's just okay with it.
You know what? I think everyone was really wrong on the critic scores and everything for this movie. Do you know how this movie seemed so much fun to write? Because like it is a constant state of Gary Sinise giving Christmas themed one liners.
Oh yeah, don't you play
And
any reindeer games with me, boy?
you wanted to slide down my
Sister's
sister's
chimney?
chimney because we find out that Gary Sinise is the brother of Ashley, Charlize Theron's
Yes,
character.
and that he read her letters and found out that she's dating a prisoner who used to work at a casino, and he wants to now use that insider information to rob the casino. But of course, we have mistaken identity because Ben Affleck isn't really Nick, the casino worker who did time in prison for who did less time in prison for manslaughter than Ben Affleck was doing for Grand Theft Auto, I want to point out. Like,
Well, he says in voiceover at the beginning regarding that, he said, "That's just the way things work out
that's
sometimes."
just the way things work out sometimes.
His public
You're-
defender probably got him a real shitty deal.
Yeah, meanwhile, I guess his buddy had a great one for his manslaughter case.
How nice is it though that they were cellmates but became best friends? I
True
mean,
best
you know,
friend.
I could see being in prison, getting appointed a roommate could be a real rough situation.
You know what? Maybe though they became friends and then requested to be roommates afterwards. That can happen.
Can you transfer rooms in
You can
prison?
actually.
You
They,
can? You can request
yes,
like, "I wanna sleep with Jerry."
I learned this from
Locked up.
no, from a podcast that apparently yes, they really do want people to get along with their
Get
cellmates and not cause trouble. So yes, they will accommodate frequently. I mean not every prison obviously is the same, but like they will frequently accommodate requests for cellmates.
Well, I'm glad it worked out for these 2 and that they were gonna get out on the same
Did
day.
it work out? Did it work out for them, Garrett?
Well, Ben Affleck got to touch butts and
That's
have his
true.
hot chocolate,
He got to lick a boobie, he
so
got to have the hot chocolate, he got to watch that pay-per-view on
god
Danny
damn it.
Trejo's time.
I fucking love this era of Affleck. Like, this is my he did so
The
much fun
shit-eating
stuff
kind, because
during
he's
this
got that
time.
shit-eating grin on all the time.
Ah, I know, like, there was an evolution of Affleck and the type of picture he does and him as a director and kind of making a little bit more prestigious picture with, like,
I mean,
his
he's
own work.
wonderful in The Tender Bar, I gotta say. He's
Oh,
so good in that.
god, that's such a comfort movie for me. It's just such
It's
a
so
light,
good.
good he's so good. But this era, just handsome, like, hasn't had the life beat out of him yet by the general public, other
Mhm.
than having the life beat out of him by Gary Sinise and Donald Logue.
So many times, so many times. But yeah,
Just
there's one of my favorite bits in here is these guys are beating the crap out of him and telling him like they need him to help them rob a casino. And he's like, "You got the wrong guy. I am not actually the pen pal that your sister was writing to. I am the cellmate of that guy and I lied. That man's dead. I lied. So, and he's like, so wait, you lied so you could slide down my sister's chimney? And he's like, yes. And he says, did you really think that was going to help your cause?
punches him.
And punches him in the face. And you're like, so
Such a good
so
line. It's
true. Though you thought, oh, I was just gonna tell this guy, yeah, I lied to your sister so that I could have sex with her.
oh
And
my
that he
god.
was gonna be fine with that. He was not gonna he was gonna stop beating the crap out of you and instead leave you alone because you said you lied so you could have sex with his sister.
Oh, Gary Sinise's delivery on that is so good
So
too.
good
It's
too.
like there are moments in this movie that do kind of suck. But there's like I think
There's
the
some
fun and
genuinely good
like
bits here.
the I think the good bits outweigh the shitty dumbness of some of it. I think people need to revisit this one.
Yeah. So Charlize Theron tells him like, listen, if you keep saying you didn't do it and that you're not Nick, that you're not the guy, they're gonna kill you. My brother's killed people before. Um and it starts to become clear that she knew this was gonna happen. And uh well, crap. So he's like, fine, but I want to see some hot chocolate and some goddamn pecan fucking pie. So he gets it. He gets his hot chocolate and his pie. They take him to a diner and they start asking him questions about this casino he's never seen before. They show him their hand-drawn map and he quite cleverly comes up with like, "Oh, this doesn't look anything like your map is crappy." And they're like, "What are you talking about? We just cased the joint." He's like, "Oh, they must have changed the place since I was there."
You're the line the line that he says regarding the map, you niced it up a little bit because it was certainly a 2000 oh, it was a line that won't be in a movie in 2024.
Yeah, you can't say that in a movie now.
It's
And
these guys are so
probably for
fucking
the good
dumb though. Like,
reason. It's
yeah,
so clear that they don't know what they're doing. Like at one point, he actually finds out. Like not long after this, he's like, "So how many casinos have they robbed before? Like how many robberies have they done?" And Charlize Theron's like, "They've never robbed anywhere before. They they're truckers who run guns on the side."
it's it's so weird though, because like he, straight up tells them quickly, "I'm not that guy." Then
Yeah.
they beat him up and he's like, "Okay, I'm the guy."
Mm-hmm.
But then he's in the back of this truck with Charlize Theron. Donald Logue just has a pair of headphones on to his Walkman, and
Yeah.
Affleck's just like sitting there having a conversation with her, like, "I'm really not the guy. I'm absolutely 100% not the guy. Like these guys now think I'm the guy." Donald Logue is hearing this conversation
Yep.
and never is like, "Hey," pulls his headphone off to be like, "It seems like this guy isn't the guy. It seems like."
No, he does later tell Gary Sinise though that like, "Hey, I heard them talking. He said he's not the guy to her. I understand why he'd tell us he's not the guy, but why would he tell her he's not the guy?" And so then they hold him at gunpoint and make him answer questions about Charlize Theron.
It is really just
And
a
he gets him
long
mostly
series of
right.
scenes back and forth of just like, "I'm the guy, I'm not the guy," and it doesn't seem like they have no idea and they don't really care. They
No,
just
and it's really strange. It does feel like they're belaboring the point. Like, is he the guy? Is he not the guy? Why does she still seem to act like he's the guy, even though he's explicitly told her he's not the guy? Well, that gets answered later. A lot of these things get answered later.
I love so they go to stake out the casino and they can't let him be seen because the boss will recognize him. So they
And
they
he's like,
buy
the boss
Ben
isn't gonna recognize me. And they're like, why would the boss not recognize you? He's like, cause you're gonna put me in a disguise.
a lovely cowboy
Obviously.
costume.
Yes, and what's his name? Merlin, the third henchman, is like, "What do you say to Santa's dwarves when they give you a gift like this cowboy costume you're gonna wear?" He's like, "It's elves." And that is a recurring joke that this guy keeps saying Santa's dwarves.
It
'Cause that's what we're at with this movie.
I just love that they're sending him into the casino. He's like, "Well, you've gotta give me some money. I can't just go in there with nothing." And they hand him like a crumpled up 10. And
Yes,
then these guys are, yeah, what happened to their trucker money? Were they really like terrible
bad
truckers, or like you
truckers.
said, maybe bad investments? I don't know.
They spent all
Wait,
their
when
money
was
painting that truck to have that really cool decal on the side. I don't know.
when the casino is hilarious. It's a very shitty casino in the
It
middle of
looks like
nowhere.
a broken down movie theater from the
Mm,
outside. Is
yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah.
got. Like it looks like an abandoned movie theater, and instead it is in fact a casino in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and clearly struggling. And
I love.
apparently, Dennis Farina is
Mhm.
here as their Vegas consultant, I guess, is his job.
Such a funny scumbag of that time period, just, like, always,
Yes.
like, a shady dude in movies, and I love the shit they're doing to try and make the casino profitable or better. They walk in and it sounds like a busy casino, then suddenly it just goes dead silent, and then you see him run to a tape recorder, pick up a cassette tape that says "Big Winners 2" or something, put it in, and they're just
It's
pumping the noise of Fun Casino
so
over the
funny.
loudspeaker.
It is really, really funny that they've just plopped that tape in and it's like "Brr, brr, 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 brr," and then the sounds of people enjoying a
And
casino.
he is talking to the Native American guys that own the casino about what he's doing to make the casino better, and the
I
funniest thing he says is regarding the buffet. He goes, "This buffet has both Coke and Pepsi. You aren't gonna find that anywhere else."
I want to point out, he says that after he points out, I got the girls showing 16% more skin. So that's what he's done for them. He's got 16% more skin, and the buffet serves Coke and Pepsi. I don't know how this place could possibly fail. And I do love that every time they see one of the cocktail waitresses, she talks about how freezing she is because she now has to wear, show 16% more skin, presumably. And they're not shelling out for enough heat here in this cold Michigan weather.
Well, and Affleck ordering his drink too when he says, "I'll have a Jack and Coke," and the guy says, "Do you want that with Pepsi or Coke?"
Yeah, they really want you to know they're like, "Hey, we got both."
I just little details in what they were saying. It was
Are
thought out.
really funny.
They're really fucking funny.
Dennis Farina also keeps saying, "I can't go back to Vegas, they'll kill me." That's never explained. I love that.
I even in, like, towards the end of this movie when he is bleeding out, he's still saying, "I can't go back to Vegas."
"They'll kill me."
Oh my god.
Farina is telling like when you first meet him, he is telling the owners of the casino that their biggest problem is snow. That like they need to do some sort of, he says so many racist things, but like that they need to basically do some sort of like weather dance to get rid of the snow because that is the chief problem with their income is that there's too much snow for people to come out and gamble. That they're not just like a roadside casino, they are an international gaming destination. And
I'm
he's
bringing in
real serious about this.
these 3 German lounge singers. These broads they all look like
Like
whoever he
Meryl
said,
Streep.
like
He
Meryl
said they
Streep.
all look like Meryl Streep and they can juggle anything. It is so funny. Genuinely, he's killing this part. He's doing so much.
Their end game couldn't be funnier than robbing the shittiest casino in the world.
Right. Honestly, I wish they had done all this and there wasn't any damn money in the place because of how and it's really funny. You know how in like Ocean's 11 or 13, whichever, in heist movies they're always like we want to go on the day where they have the most money in the casino. Like a big fight day or something, when they have to have a lot of cash in the casino. Here they want to go when the casino is most dead, least likely to have any cash on hand at all.
Well,
That's how
they
good
are
these people are
geniuses.
at this job.
From this point, I don't know, like, we're kind of in a little bit of a cat and mouse for several scenes. It does get a little repetitive, but they find ways to keep it fun.
Yes.
And this is where Affleck tries to sneak out and pays young Ashton Kutcher to switch clothes with him, where
That was a
he
great bit.
that was funny. But
Genuinely surprised Ashton Kutcher didn't get killed.
the scene that follows that though of Affleck running from them, gets away, runs through the woods, they're all chasing him. This is actually a really great action chase scene that
Mhm.
leads into something that scares the shit out of me, and that's getting trapped under ice.
Yeah. Yeah. Charlize Theron goes under the ice and then for no good reason he goes in after her. Don't do that.
Well,
Don't
he's
do
kind of a
that.
good guy, kind of.
No,
He's
but
kind of our
like
hero.
then you're just getting stuck under there with her. You need to try to get her out through the hole that already exists. Otherwise you both drown.
But he had that really cool little shotgun and was blowing holes through the ice to get them out.
Yes.
And we do see Gary Sinise be genuinely insane and scary in this scene.
Yes, when he goes after that poor ice fisherman who just was like, "Hey, do you guys need any help?" And instead of just being like, "Nah, we're good," he's like, "I gotta kill that guy."
And he kills him in a very creative way. He fills his little shanty up with bullets so the guy does get hit. Goes in and the guy's like, "Please, I'm just a farmer." It's actually a very dark, sadistic scene.
Yes.
And you think that Gary Sinise is just missing him, but what he has done is shot all the ice around him, so the guy just sinks and drowns.
Well, the good news is the cold probably killed him.
It's hard to, oh my god, but them going back to the hotel after this is
Which I do want to point out that the motel room that they have Ben Affleck staying in has like a weird castle theme where
it's
there's
awesome.
like the wallpaper is meant to look like castle like stones, and then there's like a little fake arch. It is hilarious. It's
It,
really good. It's
this
really, really good.
this scene when they get back though is the first scene in the movie where I'm like, "Oh, maybe this movie does suck." And that is we found something that Affleck doesn't do well, and
Go
that is
ahead.
pretend to have hypothermia.
Yes.
It is
Yeah.
goofy. It is bad. It is
It's
like
a
in Winter's Tale when that child pretends to have a seizure.
yeah, so they're hanging out in the little game room of the motel, which hilarious. Two kids come in there and they're like, "Yeah, pinball," and then the big thugs throw them out. And he's like, "We're gonna have a darts competition, me versus you. You know, whoever gets closer to the bullseye gets what they want." And he does this knowing that Ben Affleck is freezing to death, shaking so hard that he just drops the dart. It's so sadistic and kind of funny. It's very good. But then, yes, Gary Sinise starts throwing darts at Ben Affleck. Um, which I don't know how much that would hurt, but it certainly looks like it hurts.
I have been hit with a dart like that
Have you?
on purpose.
Who did this to you?
Actually, it would have been around the time this movie came out, year-wise, and my neighbor was a dick, and I went over to
Uh-huh.
see if he wanted to hang out, and he didn't, and as I was walking away, I dropped to the ground and, turned around and pulled a dart out of the back of my leg.
Ah!
"We aren't friends anymore, Kit."
Shocked. I'm shocked to hear this. I never would have.
He
How
does
much did it
react.
hurt, and would it work as a form of torture by Gary Sinise to
So this is
you?
what I think. Affleck reacts really big to each one of these darts, and I
Yeah.
don't know if it's because his body's so frozen or if
Mm.
because it actually hurts. Because Steve-O used to do this nightly on tour, where he would
Did he
have
really?
he would set up like a bullseye on his ass or something, and like people would throw darts at him. And
Well,
his
Steve-O's
reaction was
pain
always,
tolerance is going to be different than Ben Affleck's. Let's be real
Affleck
here.
has been just willingly taking beatings to play goofs on these guys.
That is true.
But the darts, like, I don't know. I think that he overreacts. And it did say that the dart thing was the pain and suffering was extended. This was like a big extension in the director's cut.
They wanted to make it more torturous.
And they did make it seem more like a saw trap than I think it really was. I'm sure it hurt.
I mean, like I'm sure it did too. But yeah, and then he's freezing, and Charlize Theron's cuddling him up in the blankets to try to keep him from freezing to death. Um and then he's decided now that he wants to get in on this heist. He wants to like to get a gun and take down Gary Sinise and steal all the money for himself. And also there's Santa outfits now.
Yeah, he's broken out of his room. He's cat and mousing around the hotel. Originally, he was going to escape, but then he sees the guys and he has to get back to his room and get himself chained back up to his bed. But in the midst of all this is where we get our big twist,
hmm hmm Big
which is
twist
we
number
he
one.
hears there's too many fucking twists. Like the twist is what I think ruins this movie. Not this twist, but a
Really?
later.
Do you think a
I
second
do.
twist does?
I think
Go
one
okay.
twist was enough, but
Mm.
we'll get to that. This twist, we hear Charlize Theron yelling. It sounds like she's in pain or like scared, and Affleck sees her in the pool with her brother, and then
And
they
she's like,
start
"Why'd you
fucking.
shoot at the ice? You nearly killed me." Fair. Even if that was your brother, that's a totally fair argument to have. Why'd you shoot at the ice and send me nearly to my death, bro? Turns out, not bro. Or if it is bro, that's It's
Then
not
we've done
kind
2
of.
incest movies in a
Then
row.
we've done 2 incest movies in a row. I did write that down. I was like, "Oh no, did we accidentally do another incest movie?" No. Uh she is not his sister. She is in fact his girlfriend. She was in on this all along, and uh
I think the
now
craziest
he's
shit
screwed.
is that yeah, so she's banging her boyfriend, which is, her brother, Gary Sinise. And
Not her brother.
I think the craziest thing is that Gary Sinise sees Ben Affleck and is like, "Yeah, Charlize Theron wants to be with me."
Mhm.
Because we did establish
And then
he's
when
dumb.
Charlize Theron is like, "The whole time I was having sex with him, I was thinking about you." It's like, "Do you really believe that, man? Do you really believe that? Did you took one look at Ben Affleck, and now when this woman says she's thinking about you while fucking him, you believe that? Are you sure you do in your heart of hearts, Gary Sinise? Maybe that's why you're really so
That
mad."
that redheaded curly guy, when he's having sex with Ariana Grande, is thinking about Ben Affleck. Like, they're all thinking about Ben Affleck.
It's so true though. Yeah, so he has to run back to the room to get there before anybody finds out that he's loose. Um and then we find out that he that night, I guess, bought a bunch of pay-per-view and drank all the minibar drinks just to screw with them.
Danny Trejo, "You That was on my credit card."
Bless
Great little.
God. There's some real You're right, there are some really funny bits in this movie.
And then once we get to this heist, the casino's dead, and they go in and just
And they're all pretending to be various mall Santas and
various
department
disgruntled
stores,
Santas.
various department store disgruntled Santas who are there officially now off the job. You know, it's Christmas Eve, therefore we're done, so we're gonna go gamble. And uh, our boy Affleck gets to be the diversion Santa who flips the poker table or the blackjack table, I guess, and there's a big old shootout.
It is violent. And Affleck
Yeah,
has no gun throughout this. He just has a water gun filled with rum,
which is hilarious, I gotta
which is
say.
hilarious. And yeah, it is a violent shootout. Like, those security guards, everybody is just getting absolutely blown away. It is bloody.
Yes.
It is pretty gruesome, some of like the shots people are taking.
The couple cops run in and you think that, maybe this whole thing's gonna turn out okay. And then Charlize Theron drives her car into the cops, like into the building, bam, right into the cops. And you realize that nobody here is fucking around. This is getting gross in many ways.
One of the funniest, so he ends up killing one of the henchmen that he's with in another Santa costume, as the henchman is lighting a cigarette, spraying the squirt gun into it. You have never seen fire ignite faster. And
I
honestly,
think
it
this
makes me
rum may have in
nervous.
fact been Everclear.
It makes me nervous how flammable a Santa costume is, because the guy goes
Right?
from not on fire to a full body burn in a matter of 1 second.
Second. Yeah. Well, that thing is entirely polyester. So, yeah,
Ah,
that's
yeah,
that's real flammable. But yeah, he does also bring back the joke about Santa's dwarves, so that he can die with that line being
yeah.
repeated back to him ironically. The next thing you know, Gary's starting to realize that he got bad information. He runs up the stairs and he was told that, like, on your right is the count, or on your right is the manager's office. It's not, it's a wall. And then the next thing he finds is a broom closet, and then he finds the actual, like, office for the manager. He's starting to realize maybe Ben Affleck didn't know shit.
But he still doesn't question it. I mean, there's another big
No.
shootout. They do get out of there with all the money, and it's not until they're basically
The
Affleck.
number of times where, like, they are faced with very clear information that this guy is not the guy. That Ben Affleck is not the guy, and they don't pick up on it because they're all too fucking stupid. Like,
Isn't it kind of fun though? Because most you're not used to having such incompetent villains. Like you're usually
it's
like kind of a
true.
suave, like they've got a plan and like the good guy has to foil the plan. In
No, this
this, they're dumb, they're poor, they don't have a plan,
mm-mm.
and Ben Affleck is just like fucking with them and
Yeah,
making things hard and worse
yes,
for the
in
whole movie.
every way that he possibly can. And it's really quite funny. But yeah, like so long ago they realized when one of them talked to a cocktail waitress and was like, when was the remodel, and she's like, this place hasn't been remodeled in forever. And it's like, what, you guys, why do you keep letting him fuck with you?
And the
He's
thing is,
so
like,
dumb.
the only people left at this point, once we're outside, is Charlize, Gary Sinise, and Affleck.
Yeah, everybody else
And
gets shot. It turns Ben Affleck was like, "There's no guns in the count room." Oh, there are guns in the count room, y'all, and a lot of people get shot because of it.
yeah, the Uzis come out of a safe at one point. But it's
Yep.
the thing that like truly makes them be like, "Oh, I don't think that Affleck is the guy," is when Charlize Theron gives up the line, when somebody takes a shiv for you and you do this to them. He's like, "Wait, how did you know he was shivved? I never told you that."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Gary
yeah.
Sinise starts being like, "Yeah, wait a minute. I think you might be lying to
Wait a
me
minute.
too."
Well, no, 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 no. Because first Dennis Farina was like, "That's not Nick."
Oh
They've
yeah,
got
yeah.
Dennis Farina, and they're like, "Don't you recognize your old employee?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?
I don't want to go to
No,
Vegas.
I don't want to go to Vegas. They'll kill me." But yeah, so they get the money. They drive off with Ben Affleck held hostage, basically, and they're going to drive him. They're gonna light a car on fire and like drive it off the cliff with Ben
Ravine.
Affleck in it, so that it looks like this is a very bad plan because they're very bad criminals. They're gonna make it look like he died with all the money on hand, and uh he's like, "You're a bad person." She's like, "You don't get to talk to me about being a bad person. A guy took a shiv for you in prison and you stole his girlfriend." And yes, he's like, "What are you talking about? I never told you he took a shiv. And I definitely didn't say anything about for me." And she's like, "Yeah, you did." And he's like, "No, I didn't. I just said he died." And yeah, Gary Sinise is like, "Hey, wait a minute." And that is when we find out the next twist, which is
Nick was never dead and he's the mastermind behind it all.
yep, he's alive.
It's
Somehow the chain of logic makes no sense. He paid the NFL guy to stab him in prison.
it was kind of like
And
the Scream plan, like just don't stab me too deep.
don't stab me too good. Well, and he had a blood pack to make it look extra good, I
See,
guess.
I think this last 5 minutes of the movie, like, yeah, once he kills everybody and Affleck, kind of saves the day for himself, but really no one else, uh,
Yeah.
is fine. But it's just like an extra twist that I didn't care about or really need. Like, it was just like
Charlize
one step too
Theron was in
much.
on it the whole time. She was never Ashley. She was Nick's girlfriend that he went to prison for in the first place because he committed manslaughter while protecting her, like standing up for her to a guy at a bar. It was her the whole time. She was scheming against the criminals and him. It's like so many layers of deception. She's like, "I never fuck the wrong guy," which was a good
That's a pretty good
line. It
line.
was a good line.
I do like that they tied Affleck up in the car, and then he says the thing, like a cool line where he says something like, "Never leave a car thief behind the wheel," and hot wires it and smashes
And
his buddy,
yeah, he reverses to break Nick's legs, then goes forward to hit Charlize Theron,
send her
uh,
flying off a
send her
cliff. We get
flying off the cliff.
I miss these types of movies so much where a car flies off a cliff, hits 1 second delay, enormous explosion. That's how
Oh
every car
yeah,
crash
yeah,
should
yeah.
be. This is the perfect time
And
for
you
car
remember in
crashes.
Van Helsing though when they did that with a goddamn carriage?
No, that's really funny though.
It's extremely funny. Like they were just so used to the idea of like car go off cliff, car explode that they didn't really think about the fact that like that's a horse and buggy type
Was there a horse attached
carriage.
to it and the horse exploded too?
The horse did not explode.
God damn it. If it hit and the horse is what exploded, that would have been
Yeah, so that's the big twist, and he pretty quickly gets out of the bad situation. All of them die, and he takes the cash and puts it in every mailbox from here to his parents' house, where he finally gets to have Christmas with the family. And everybody got some stolen money that has his fingerprints all over it. Like, there's no way Ben Affleck isn't going back to jail at the end of this. It's his cellmate that they're gonna find dead in that truck.
and it ends on that great Affleck smile as the movie fades
Yep. He
at
did
his
not
dinner
take a
table. Like,
shower. He is still covered in soot and wearing that ratty Santa costume. But he's there at Christmas with his family, and he didn't even take the money. He gave all the money away. It was all about just being home in time for Christmas.
I really think that people should consider throwing this into the Christmas rotation.
It's honestly I enjoyed it, and it's very Christmassy. You know,
It's
it's
like
not
as an alternative Christmas, like not a Christmas cheery movie, but just like a
no.
movie that because there's a ton of movies that we've started throwing into rotation that just like take place during the holidays, but Christmas isn't the theme of the movie.
Oh yeah, this is
And
much more so than Die Hard, a Christmas movie.
yeah, this is like straight up. I mean, this is a Christmas movie, and I don't really ever see it on lists other than like this movie's bad. And it's not perfect, but like it falls during that same time of like yeah, it's towards the end of this run, but when we were getting like The Rock, Con Air, Face Off, like
Mm,
that type of action movie, I feel like this fell in line to that like funny, almost Jerry
mhm.
Bruckheimer feel of like a silly, fun action comedy where the action is still really good, the comedy's still really good. This movie, pretty sexy, like sexier than any of those I just named.
Absolutely. You don't get to see Bruce Willis's ass during Die Hard. You don't get to see, as far as I'm aware, any boobies in
Any of
most
the movies I named, yeah.
Bruckheimers.
Yeah. No, I this is a fun movie.
I
A
enjoyed it.
rewatch of this was fun.
It's
I just had a good time.
stupid, but I enjoyed it for sure. And I didn't know any of the twists were coming because I had not seen this movie before. So that was fun. I had fun. So, Garrett, were you aroused?
That was a good sex scene, Kit.
I mean, it's a really good sex scene.
Yeah, you only get one, but in a lot of the movies we watch, we only get like one big sex scene. And yeah, they usually happen early.
Hmm.
And this one, they threw in Charlize Theron naked a little later into the movie just to remind you that the movie's still
Just
kind of
in case you
sexy.
forgot. Just in case you forgot what her boobies looked like, here you go.
And they don't make you see Gary Sinise cheeks.
I would have not minded. That would
I
have been
mean, I
fun.
clearly on this podcast we
We
accept
are in
all nudity
favor
that
of
is given to us.
all God's cheeks are beautiful cheeks.
Not necessarily, but I want to see all of them regardless.
All God's cheeks will be displayed before Garrett's eyes. He is not
Show us your
judgmental.
ass.
Show us your ass.
So as far as was I aroused,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd say this one's higher than quite a few of the movies we've watched. I
Mm-hmm.
would say that sex scene lands it closer into the 3 to 4 range. The especially with the director's cut, I think we get like a thrust that's left out of the
Woo!
the R-rated cut.
Thrust, thrust, thrust.
They roll
Uh,
onto the floor. She
it's
rides them on top.
really
It's just
fun. Yeah, I
yeah.
would give it a 2.5. I would
Two
say.
and a half. That feels a little
Mm-hmm.
low. That especially to
It
two
needed more
people who
boobs.
went on to be superstars.
That's true.
Academy Award winners.
I'm still leaving it at a 2.5 because I wanted more. I'm
I mean, we
greedy.
always want more, but I think
There, it's
I'll
my
be honest, I
rating.
think
You give it your rating.
okay, I think that that was a little low. I think it deserves at least a 3. I'll go 3.5.
Okay. Were you thrilled?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Them getting stuck under the ice is a nightmare
Mm-hmm.
for me, like, the fear of
Mm-hmm.
drowning. It's a little claustrophobic with the can't get above the ice. Them rolling down the hill before that is in the
The number
chase,
of
like
times that he is almost caught as being not the guy and then somehow manages to convince them that he is the guy. It's pretty up there in terms of anxiety inducing.
yeah, this is a honestly, this is just a fun thriller.
Mm,
I once again go 3.5. I'll go 3.5 on the thrills as well, yeah.
I think I
I'm not,
will
like,
also
worried about
go.
anybody, but I'm
No, but
I'm
that's because
thrilled, I'm
they
happy.
established that from the beginning. You know that no one here is an angel, not even Gabriel. But you know that none of them are good people. Nobody got here because they were making good choices.
Mhm.
And so it's okay for them to live with those consequences. It feels like it's okay for them to
Yeah.
live with those consequences. And so yeah, I would put it at a 3.5 seems about right. And would you ruin your life for Charlize Theron?
Think about where Nick's coming from.
Oh,
He
I
has
am.
spent he has spent 2 years in a bed staring at photos of her, hearing about how great she is, and some of
Mhm.
those photos very sexy. I mean, it's Charlize Theron. She
Yes, he
is
is.
a gorgeous movie
Our
star.
boy Rudolph here has spent 2 years listening to his cellmate talk about his hot girlfriend, seeing pictures of her, hearing her terrible poetry about how much she loves and misses him and wants to have sex with him. And all he's got to think about is hot chocolate and pecan pie.
So, if I just got out of prison, I saw the one because
Hmm.
he himself has masturbated to those photos of her on that wall
Absolutely, he has.
every night, probably.
Hmm.
Now she's there,
Hmm.
she's available, and the devil on the shoulder's barking at you.
Hmm.
And in
Hmm.
your mind, the consequences are gonna be so light. You don't know how bad this is gonna go, but it's so easy. It's so easy. Like, it's just on a platter right there. Yes, I think the devil on the shoulder is gonna bark at me here if I'm in Ben Affleck's situation. So, yes, I would ruin my life for Charlize Theron in Reindeer Games.
I'm kind of curious what, like, how their plan would have gone down if Ben Affleck had been like, he went out there and he saw her and he was like, "Hey, I'm Nick's roommate or cellmate, and I'm so sorry to tell you this, but he died yesterday, and um, there's just not much I can say to make this better. I know it's the holidays, and I'm really sorry. He told me all about you. You seem like a really great person, and I know he was really looking forward to this. And boy, I feel so terrible about it. And, like they went out for that diner breakfast. Like, what was her plan gonna be if he had done the right thing?
I think she plays it off as if he still goes with her, and she basically asks him to have sex with her in a comforting way. She convinces the other guys he
Mm.
talked about this casino and knows a bunch of stuff because of him.
Ah, okay.
Plus
Yeah,
he's an experienced criminal, and you need an experienced criminal because
it's a
they
flexible
specify
enough plan
well,
to
and
you
they
think
said
to
that
accommodate.
at the end, that if he didn't go along with it, she was still going to be able to convince them to go through with it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
true. They
I
they
think
had
she's
contingencies. It just so happened that they knew that Ben Affleck was gonna fall for the bait.
I don't think there's a version of this where she doesn't have sex with him.
I
I think,
mean,
like,
no, because she took one look at him and was like, "He never mentioned that this cellmate was Ben Affleck."
she's like, "God damn, it's
God
worth a
damn.
shot. Let me
Hell
get a crack
yes.
at that." So, yeah, I think either way, he took the naughty route to get there, but I think
Mhm.
all route All routes lead to that. Maybe
Mhm.
it's a different type of sex, though. I don't know.
A
Maybe it's
sad,
like not
sad
as
sex, not as
yeah, but
acrobatic.
even sad sex. It
I'm
what
waiting
did
for where
we?
you're going with this.
I'm trying to remember what movie I watched recently that was reminiscent of the in Monsters Ball when Halle Berry has sex with Billy Bob Thornton, the make me feel good scene where they have
Oh!
was that something we watched or was that something I
No.
watched on my own?
I think this was just you alone
Fuck, what
staring.
I don't know, but either way, it's a different type of
Different type of sex, but
it can be
still fun
ravenous in
sex.
its own way, but this way they went looked very, very fun.
It did look very fun. I would say that yes, I get it. I would also end up making the same mistake as Ben Affleck. I would ruin my life for Charlize Theron. I
Yeah.
would. Look at her. Look at her. How do
Look
you
at
not?
her. I like her
And
teeth in
our
this movie. They're like, they're not perfect like they are now.
yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
think there's something like there's it makes her
More
cuter.
yeah, it's and more relatable,
Mhm.
like a relatable type of cute. But Garrett, how much did this put you in the holiday spirit?
A lot.
A
A lot. It's
lot.
not Christmas adjacent. It's like we see them go holiday shopping. We
Mhm.
see Christmas
There's
trees and lights
trees.
everywhere. The the bad guys are doing Christmas one-liners throughout it. There's nothing more Christmassy
Mhm.
than that.
Santa's
Um,
dwarves brought you a great present this year, is what I'm hearing.
yeah. This is I put this high. This movie gets you in the holiday spirit even though the director's cut is a little dark. I
And
think
you
if you
do
go
see so many dead Santas.
yeah, I think you go the other one, you're still gonna see a lot of death. You go theatrical cut, but I think it plays up the laughs more and doesn't linger on the darkness as much.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
Kit, you
Mhm.
in the holiday spirit? You feeling it?
You know what? I think so. I think this got me feeling jingle bells and Batman smells. I'm really yeah. We're here. We're tinsel and fa la 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 la. I really do. I think so. Like it's not just aesthetic, It really is part of the fabric of Reindeer Games, and it did. It put me in the mood. You got the real uh holiday spirit in here.
So next time around we've got Eyes Wide Shut, but I think if this podcast somehow lasts another year, we find not something a different a different holiday. We could is there Hanukkah erotic thrillers out
Mm.
there? Are there Kwanzaa erotic thrillers? What other
Mm.
it doesn't have to be Santa and Jesus in our Christmas movies or
Mhm,
erotic
mhm.
thrillers. Let's see if we can find something else and make it more festive for everybody.
I love that. Let's get pan religious coexist bumper sticker style holiday cheer in here.
Thank you for listening. I hope you have yourself a slutty little Christmas.
Mm.
And you know, at Erotic Thriller Club on Instagram, eroticthrillerclub@gmail.com. If you have any questions,
Like,
comments, concerns.
subscribe, leave a comment, tell your friends. It's the
If you're on the
holiday
YouTubes, like
season.
tell us were you aroused? Give us your scores
Give us your
when you watch these
scores.
movies. I'm curious. Like, are we wrong on some of these? I mean, subjective art form. We all get boners in different ways.
So
Uh,
true.
some of these work, some of them don't. I think this one works. All right, everybody. We love you. Thank you for listening. Wet your snails, jingle your bells. We want to shake you naked and eat you alive.